Welcome to the third edition of The Business Edge with Coach Geary. Of course, I'm Coach Geary. Welcome again, and thank you for watching, listening, subscribing, and reading this newsletter. This edition, we're going to zero in on professional or amateur from Cardone University. And we explore this crucial topic. We aim to bridge the gap between recognizing sales as an essential skill and mastering it to elevate your business and personal growth. So, professional versus amateur, defining your sales identity. What does that even mean? In the sales world, the line between professional and amateur can significantly impact your results, reputation, reputation, and ultimately your success. So as a professional sales approach isn't just about better techniques, but about adopting a mindset that helps set you apart. All right, great. That means nothing. What does that actually mean? What it really means is there's a difference between being an amateur and the things that amateurs do and being a professional, and the things that professionals do. We're going to dive into each of those in more detail here, but recognizing that a professional over the course of a career is going to perform significantly better than an amateur for the reasons that we're going to go delve into. So before we can truly understand this, though, we've got to understand why the professional sales approach matters and what really it is. So the first part of that is mastery of the craft. And when we think of mastering something, we really do mean master, an extremely high level. Not just be good at it, but to truly understand every facet, the ins and outs, and really dedicate themselves, yourself, to continuous learning and improvement. So unlike an amateur who might rely on innate charisma or sporadic effort, a professional understands that sales mastery comes from deliberate practice and knowledge accumulation. So what does that really come down to? Consistency. It means that professionals are consistent. They follow plans, they're always learning, they're committed to that, and through that then they build the experiences and the mastery of that craft in selling. Versus an amateur may be very good, but certainly is not taking those extra steps. Someone who has an innate charisma may not work at, practice at, or continue to learn or accumulate knowledge on how to engage with other people, which means at some point in time they may be so far left or right that they don't understand that they're missing the middle. And the middle is where our clients are. The other thing that can happen is that as things evolve or change over time, they get left behind because they're not continuing to study. So again, this is one of those differences as we're understanding that professional sales approach between a pro and an amateur. We're not relying on our innate abilities. We're not relying on what comes easy to us. We're being consistent in practicing and accumulating knowledge so that we may master the skill in all ways at all times and continue to maintain that mastery. The second piece then is building relationships over transactions. So obviously another key differentiator between a professional and amateur is that those salespeople that are professionals are focused on building long-lasting relationships. Professionals prioritize understanding client needs and aligning their solutions to address them comprehensively. It's a long way to say we care about the person, not the product. And that really is a difference in mindset. If we're purely focused on chasing the sale, if we're pushing the product and we're going for the close at all times and nothing else but that matters, then we miss the relationship. And we know that the only difference between a contact and a contract is the R relationship. So a professional salesperson is focused there instead on building a genuine relationship, on going through the steps that are required to formulate, to curate, to nurture, to stay up with, to follow up an actual relationship. Versus an amateur is going to push forward for the close. There may be relationships, certainly within their power base, people that they already know, people that they meet in other facets. But if you come to them as a prospect, they're going to be so laser focused potentially on the sale, they miss the relationship. Versus a professional is going to flip that around, knowing the relationship will lead to the sale. The third thing then is strategic thinking. And part of this is that zoomed out approach. Taking a look at things at a higher level. What are those longer term impacts? And certainly relationship building fits into that nicely. So professionals approach sales strategically. planning interactions, anticipating objections, and crafting tailored messages. This contrasts with the often reactive and formulaic approach seen in amateurs. What does that really mean? There's kind of a lot going on there. So as we're thinking strategically, we're thinking at the high level, we're thinking at a macro, and we're looking not just at the individual transactions, but really at an overall larger scale. And that obviously is part and parcel to strategic. So part of that is the long-term relationships, which we touched on. Part of that is planning interactions. So when we're planning interactions, we're not looking to be rote or so rigid that we're formulaic, right, as the amateur may be. But rather we have scripts, we have word tracks, we have pre-planned presentations, paths, journeys, ways of handling objections. All of that is pre-planned, and we recognize, when we like to meet people, how we like to engage with them, and what maybe their problems are. And that allows us then to, one, anticipate some of their objections, two, tailor those messages, but three, just general preparedness. So a professional is going to be prepared. Anticipating objections is fairly straightforward. If we know what the objections are likely to be, then we can plan for that, and then with our interaction, have ready-made avenues of approach to handle that objection, right? And what I mean by that is it's not so scripted that we can't come off, right? That again, formulaic. If you only have the one close or the one handle for the objection, then that's all you've got. You just sound like a broken record. You get in a loop or a spiral, if you will, of disagreement with a client. Versus a professional, through their mastery, their planning, their anticipation, is able to then stay with the client. So in an objection, it may feel that it's sparring, it's back and forth. Maybe we're serving back and forth in a rally of sorts. But what's really happening is it's communication, and a professional recognizes that. An amateur is going to see each of those then as an attack and potentially a personal affront. That is reactive, right? The objection comes and it hits, and there's emotion, and you sit with the emotion, and then you respond out of that emotion. An amateur will do that, a professional simply won't. And again, it's not that the professional isn't human, doesn't have that feeling, maybe isn't offended, because certainly they may be. As you probably have been, and as I certainly have been in the past. But as a professional, through the planning, the strategic thinking, the anticipating, all of the above, we recognize that it's merely, one, potentially a complaint. Two, if it is validated as an objection, it's simply that. It's not personal, it's an objection, it's business. So we're able to then come back in and attack that from a different avenue, right? And then the tailored messages goes and threads all of those together. The more we know about our prospect, our client, our referral partner, whoever it may be, relationship certainly helps there, then the better we're able to tailor a solution to them. And that's going to allow us, again, through planning, we know where we want to go. Through anticipating, we know what's probably going to come up as hurdles for us. And then we're able to really tailor that in. So 3 things there to really keep in mind is mastery of the craft, and that demands a lot from you as a professional. Building relationship over transactions requires patience and awareness, and then strategic thinking. Again, we're going to look big, and we're going to really recognize what all is actually happening at each stage of our sales process. So as we're embracing professionalism, we want to look at some steps to elevate your sales game. And it's going to lead off with a commitment and its mindset here to continuous learning. So the sales landscape is ever evolving, and with new challenges and opportunities emerging. So committing to ongoing education through workshops, seminars, self-study, online, in person, with a mentor, with a coach, with a buddy, with an accountability partner, with a role play team, mandatory company training you do on your own, reading a book, all of the above, those are crucial for maintaining a professional edge. And notice I listed a lot of opportunities for learning there. One that I hadn't mentioned was experience. How can we learn faster? We can experience more. How can we experience more sooner or in a shorter amount of time? By doing more. It's about taking massive action. So that again, that's all part of that commitment. It's mindset, but we have to be committed to continually learn, or again, at some point we'll be left behind, or we just simply won't master it, right? We may become good, we may become competent, maybe we're quite good, but not to the level of a master, a true, genuine master. So fostering genuine relationships is the next stage here, and that loops back, right? Long-term relationships. We think back of our strategic thinking, and in the digital age, there's actually a higher premium placed on the human element. It's more valuable than ever before. So you can focus on genuinely understanding and solving your clients' problems, which is going to build trust and loyalty. So again, if we have a relationship, we're able to understand more. We're listening here. It's active listening to understand, not just to reply. So we want to use all of those active listening skills in this process. And really what we want to do is understand the client so well that the problems they face, we really genuinely grasp, and then we can tailor those solutions. That's going to allow us to go for the close. We're going to have easier closing when objections do come up. Again, we can foresee those, we can anticipate. And also we're planning how and when and why we're presenting certain material, which is going to help us, again, move closer to the close. So it's not that we're delaying the close by any stretch. We're pursuing it just as aggressively. But by shifting into genuine relationship and fostering those, we're coming from a different place, a different approach, a different angle, and the client's going to be a lot more receptive to that than someone who's just pushing hard in on a sale. Now, adopting a solution-oriented approach is something else I've hinted on. We've given examples of it in the previous discussion, but it really is key here. So when we shift from selling products and services to selling solutions, this mindset change can dramatically improve your interactions with potential clients and how they perceive the value you offer, right? So if you're hungry and I've got a hamburger and I talk all about the hamburger and how great it is, well, that's wonderful, except for you're hungry, you don't want a hamburger. Now, you may want that hamburger to be a solution to the fact that you're hungry, but that may not be the real thing, right? You're not focused necessarily on the bun, the patty, how lean the meat is, how fresh the ingredients are. Maybe you are, maybe you're not, but what you're really looking to do is, I'm hungry, I need to feel full. I don't want to be hungry anymore. That's your problem. So as we learn and we form a relationship, we get a better understanding of that. We can realize then, and also an opportunity to sell through inventory, that yes, the hamburger may fill you, but maybe it won't fill you up enough. Maybe it will overstuff you. Maybe it's unhealthy. It doesn't fit something else you want. So we can scrap that. And we can shift over then. Maybe it is salad with grilled chicken on top. Fantastic. Maybe due to religious reasons or any other reasons, you need a seafood option, or a non-meat option, or maybe it's a tofu option, right? So we need to know that, and we have to know what's in our inventory to be able to tailor the product, the offer, the service, but towards the solution rather than the product service first, right? If we lead off all hamburger, 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 and you're hungry, well, that's great. Now you're just more hungry because you're thinking about this hamburger. Versus if we talk about, well, let's get you full, how would you like to do it? A hamburger, a chicken salad, or a salmon platter. Now we're focused on the solution and the fact of filling that need rather than on the individual product. And again, this is where having an inventory is vital, because if you only have a hamburger, then you have a hammer and maybe you need a screwdriver. Well, that's a tough spot to be in, right? So as we think of inventory as well, we want to have something for everyone, so to speak. So in a real world application, consider the transformation of a traditional sales team that shifted from a product-centric to a solution-oriented approach, right? So by deeply understanding their market, focusing on solving complex industry challenges, they exceed their targets and they've established themselves as trusted advisors in their field. And I'm certain we can think of examples of this. If you've met a physician who's just about get in, get out, write a script, and you're done, it's not a great engagement as a client, as a patient, versus the person who sits there and takes time to speak with you and really understand the problem and then provide a solution. Now, they may spend the same amount of time with that patient, but which patient leaves feeling more serviced at a higher level, is more trusting of their provider? In that same way, we're writing prescriptions all day as a salesperson. People are coming to us with a problem, or we're coming to them to see if they have that problem, and then we have a solution or solutions to that problem. But if we focus again on just the product, just the offer, just the service, we really miss the solution. And the real world impact there is loyalty comes down, sales come down, retention comes down, testimonials aren't received as often, and just there's a general decline in performance. Versus when we shift over and we focus as professionals on being consistent, continuing to learn, and on those relationships. I can't stress enough how important the relationship aspect is. So in conclusion, professionalism is your competitive advantage, and adopting a professional sales approach can significantly differentiate your business in a crowded market. It's about more than just closing deals. It's about creating value, building relationships, and positioning yourself as a leader in the field. So if you've seen value in today, I want to thank you for reading. If you haven't seen value in today, I want you to reach out to me and provide that feedback so I can continue to get better. But certainly if you've seen value, I want you to think, who comes to mind the first 3 people who could also benefit from this valuable information? I have 2 favors for you. One is comment down below with your top takeaway. I very much appreciate that. And second is to share this article, to share this video with those 3 individuals you thought of just a moment ago. And if you really want to go above and beyond, comment your top takeaway and then tag those individuals to be sure that they're seeing it as well. I'd very much appreciate that. So with that being said, always keep reaching for the top.